All right, guys, happy Wednesday. Coming to you alive, coming to you full of energy, full of gratitude as always. And so I just want to say thank you guys for believing in this platform. Thank you for always coming here. Thank you for your contributions. And thank you for adding to my life. I always say that you guys hold me accountable. You guys, force me to be better, to research, to write notes, to make sure that we're always on point here with Keep It Moving. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I want to welcome our first time guests. I see some names I have not seen on the call in the past, such as Brianna. I don't know if I've seen your face on. I think I've seen your name, excuse me, but I don't think I've seen your face on camera. So nice to have you here. Thanks for being on. And I'm going to have someone bring us out on the field that we always do this every single day when we do Keep It Moving. And I'm going to go to Cortez because Cortez is in state right now. Homeboy's working out. So I'm going to go over to you, Cortez. I'm going to have you bring the team out on the field today on this beautiful Wednesday morning. So let's go.
Ah man, I'm on the spot today.
That's right.
You know, I've really been in this state of gratitude, so I feel like that's something we should talk about every day. Just every day we wake up, it's a day to take advantage, the day to be thankful, and just do all you can do today. And that's really all I got. But just stay grateful. Just stay grateful because somebody got a story worse than yours. So don't sit around feel sorry for yourself. Just do what you can.
Man,
And I'm out.
and I'm out. You know what? That lands because somebody right now in this world has it way worse than you do. And it's crazy that you said this because I wrote down in the first section of my notes today, it says here, because I saw this yesterday, it says, one day you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things that you've always wanted to do. So do it now, right? Just do it right now. Do all the things that you know that you've been wanting to do. So Cortez, I really, really appreciate that sentiment. So, you guys, we're going to talk about the market, but I heard something last night and I listened to it again this morning and I took some of the principles away and I wanted to share these thoughts with you just to get your mind in state as we open up today's session. And these were transformational feelings. These are insights. These are things that can make you feel and think differently about life in general. So I want to share a couple of things with you guys. The first one was this. The best math that you can learn is how to calculate the future costs of your current decisions. Sit with that one for a second, all right? I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back of the room. The best math that you can learn is how to calculate the future costs of your current decisions, right? And think about that. Are you putting yourself, if we just think about this in the next 3 months, 6 months, are you doing all the things right now that are going to truly grow your business, move you forward, give you more exposure, build your brand, build your identity, and actually create that life that you've always desired for you and your family? And I love that. And I heard that. I'm like, wow, I've never actually heard this stated or articulated. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Number two, the most heroic thing that you can do is to not give up. I know this business will beat you up. This business will sock you in the head. This business will give you every single reason to say, you know what, I'm just going to stop. But the most heroic thing that you can do is to not give up. Number three, amateurs want to do what they love, but professionals learn to love whatever it takes. Right? They appreciate the journey. They appreciate all the hard things that we have to go through. They understand that when they get to that milestone, that is not the success. The success is all of the knocks that they took along the way. And that's what a true professional seeks. They want that guidance, that growth, those knocks on the chin, the hurdles, the bumps, whatever it is, they embrace that. Number four, and this will be the last one. The shortest distance between two people is a story. And this one really resonated with me. The shortest distance between two people is a story. And what I mean by that is that we're always in this constant desire to want to connect with people, our consumers, the people that we're working with, our network, the people that we're inviting into our amazing community, people that we're asking to join our brokerage. And we always want to tell them all of the benefits and things like that. But the shortest distance between two human beings is being able to connect via story, right? And when you think about that, when you think about conversations that you're having, the dialogue that you're having, when you meet somebody and you instantly start talking about a story and it reminds you of a feeling or a past or a person, you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you forever. And we haven't even talked about the thing that we were supposed to be talking about, but now we're connected. So what I want you guys to do is as you're growing and as we're walking into this new world of compensation and being able to really articulate why people should work with us, it's really not about us. It's about really building a bond. And the way that you guys can do this at a very high level is become storytellers. And I'm not saying go make up a bunch of false ass stories. Like look for ways that you can correlate stories to bring you closer in a relationship with the people that you truly, truly want to interact with. The shortest distance between human beings is, or two human beings is a story. And I thought that resonated. Was there any of those that I just mentioned that resonated with you? Anybody want to share their thoughts, insight, contributions? I'll go through them one more time. The best math is that you can learn is how to calculate the future costs of your current decisions. The most heroic thing that you can do is not give up. Amateurs want to do what they love. Professionals learn to love whatever it takes. And the shortest distance between two people is a story. Any of those land for you? Any thoughts, contributions, or anybody want to say anything about those? So here, okay, Kelly, Cortez, let's go, Kelly. I'm getting some feedback. I don't know whose line that is from. Let's go, Kelly. What's your contribution? Then we'll go Blessing, and then we'll go Cortez, and we'll go Nicole, and anybody else that wants to chime in, and then we'll get into the market conversation. Let's go, Kelly.
I just want to say yes, don't give up. Good job. I like that. That's all.
Okay, good, thanks.
That's it.
All right. Well, I appreciate that at a very high level. Let's go, Blessing. Blessing, what's your thoughts, contributions, if any of those landed for you?
They definitely did. Good morning, everyone. Learning how to calculate the cost of your decisions now and how they'll affect you. However, that was said. You
That part.
think like I keep hearing and keep seeing in these phrases and affirmations that encourage you to look at, are you choosing the easy path now? Because if you're choosing the easy path now, if you're hiding and ducking from responsibility, that might feel comfortable now, but it's going to be 20 times worse in the future. If you do the work now, if you get the scripts together, if you are thinking about your business right now as it is and trying to set yourself up for the future, when the future, quote unquote, arrives, you will have already been prepared for it and it won't feel as hard. So not giving up and tying that all in is just think about the fact that this isn't supposed to be easy. It isn't for everyone. And you are going to come up against challenges. And if the business isn't, if you're not working on your business, the business is working on you. So if it doesn't feel like it's happening, it doesn't feel like the things are coming to fruition right now, it's because there's something about either your vision, your character, your process that's being tested that you are actually overcoming the more times that you keep showing up. So don't give up, because that's your higher self saying there's something that you need to learn here, and you're either going to learn it now or it's going to be worse in the future. So just do it.
Wow. Wow. I absolutely love that. And when you think about this, the best math that you can learn is how to calculate the future cost of your current decisions, right? If you're going to choose to eat shitty right now, if you're going to choose to drink sugar right now, if you're going to choose to just have a cheat meal every other day, what is the outcome of that 3 months from now? How do you look? How do you feel when you're in the midst of the summer? Are you feeling confident? Are you feeling like, you know what, I'm just really, really shy right now because I don't feel good about myself because of the decisions that I made 3 months ago? You guys, like, this is very, very simple, but I absolutely resonated with that. Let's go Cortez, then we'll go. I see a couple hands. We'll try to get to everybody. Let's go Cortez.
So the one that you just said, the math, that resonated with me. I just read The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents, and something he said in there was right along with that. He said, people are become mediocre when they don't realize that the decision they're making today, how much it affects you in the future. So every decision you make is a compound, like the compound effect, so that's resonated with me, the math thing. So that's all.
Good, man. Well, I appreciate you. Hopefully you had a good workout. Let's go, Nicole. Rapid fire. Let's hear from you. I love your background here, building wealth in California. Let's go, Nicole. Which one of those landed for you?
A couple of them actually. First, the math, the best math is to, that's something that I had learned early as far as regards with life insurance, because when you're younger, it's cheaper to, your premiums are lower versus when you get older. And a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't need that now. I don't need that now. And then you get to be middle-aged and have a family. It's like, oh, let me think about it. And you find out, wow, I'm going to be paying twice as much. If I would have just listened to, you know, my parents or my aunt or my uncle and done this beforehand, and I would have that much more saved up. And then also thinking about people who are like, oh, I'm waiting for the market. I'm waiting for the market. And they're looking crazy now because the interest rates have not dropped back down to where they were 2020 or what have you. And now they're scrambling because they're getting priced out with their rent and what have you, and, you know, trying to figure out. So it's like, if you have the opportunity to do something, do it now. Don't put it off to the last minute. And what was the third one you said? Because that hit me, but I forget.
The third one was amateurs won't want to do what they love, and the professionals learn to love whatever it takes.
No. I think it was the story one.
Oh, the last one. Sorry. The shortest distance between two people is a story.
Yeah. I use different scenarios or stories to connect with home buyers a lot, because I have a lot of friends that have gotten comfortable with renting, and then they're blindsided when their landlord is like, oh, I need my house back. And I have a girlfriend in Georgia. She had a daycare and everything. She was running out of a rental. And it made it that much harder for her to be able to, one, relocate, but two, keep her business going, because all of her clientele was based out of this rental where she was paying someone else's mortgage. And now she's having to scramble and find another house. It just, watching someone's whole world get flipped upside down by not taking the initiative to get their own situation, but paying somebody else's mortgage.
That's right.
So that connects with a lot of people when I share that story.
For sure. For sure. I love that. And Sylvia, don't go too far. I'll come right back to you. But in regards to the life insurance, you guys, I don't care what age you are at right now, get yourself a policy. I have a policy that I have for Silas. I have a policy for myself. I've put my wife as my beneficiary on both of the plans. God forbid something happens to me, but I'm not getting any younger. I'm 44 years old. And if I don't have an ability to have something for them, or real estate, my life insurance, then I'm really not putting my family in the best position. And so make sure that you have some type of policy. And also, times get tough, or you want to make an investment in real estate and you need to draw from that, you can actually draw from it. And so I haven't done it, but if I ever need to, I can. So Sylvia, don't go too far. We're going to come right back to you. But you guys, let's shift the conversation. We'll talk about the market, and there's a lot of things that you guys are seeing in the market over the last couple of days, and we're going to be talking about this. But I wanted to talk to our lender partners that are on the call today, because you guys saw that Fannie, Freddie Mac, VA, FHA. There is some new things that have been spoken about in our market that can impact. But it sounds to me like Fannie and Freddie Mac are kind of saying, like, they're backing out and saying, you guys handle this. So we're not going to impact the loan limit, or we're not going to touch like how that impacts your closing costs and down payment and paying for concession, all these things. So Jeff, I was wondering if you could provide some light. I know this report came out about IPCs and all these things that are going to impact our buyers, sellers, so on and so forth. So kind of give us like a snapshot of how we can understand this and how we can convey this really, really important information to our consumers. So I wanted to go to our lender partners and see if I can get some insight from you guys and have some dialogue around this. So let's go Jeff, and then we'll go Christina. And I got a list of questions that I want to hit you guys with this morning as well. So let's go, Jeff.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting as we, of course, as we navigate our way through all this NAR settlement, and even more interesting maybe is, of course, it hasn't even been settled yet. So, I mean, there's still a lot of uncertainty out there, and we can only go off of, the information that we have now, but that very well, could change, probably will change over the next few months. But to Elias's point, one of the questions has been, there's, as realtors, that there are interested party contributions from the seller, from realtor, that on certain types of loans, conventional loans, which are Fannie, Freddie, or government loans, which Ginnie Mae, which are FHA loans. And those percentages, Fannie and Freddie came out and said that a buyer's commission will not be included in those interested party contributions, as because there's a max. So, which is good. And they didn't rewrite the rules or anything. They just came out and clarified what the rules were, because it's always been able to be included. It just hadn't been in the past because of the way that things were done, from a contractual standpoint with the seller and the buyer in these transactions. So it wasn't anything that was a major policy change or anything. They just came out, clarified what the policy was, so that, a buyer's commission can be included and it will not, count against the maximum interested party contribution. So you can see that these government agencies, Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, are already thinking ahead to the impact this is going to have on the market in general, to buyers, because they are supremely concerned about buyers out there and affordability out there, and they understand the situation, and they're, you've seen things out there probably over the last few months, regardless of political views or anything, but the different government agencies trying to prop up first-time home buyers and find ways to make it more affordable for them. So I think this is a good thing that they got out in front of this messaging and is putting this out there, clarifying the policy, so that as this continues to evolve, maybe there'll be additional things that the GSEs can do to make sure that those first-time home buyers aren't saddled with 1%, 2%, 3% buyer's commission, and that sellers and realtors, listing agents, realtors can feel confident in terms of when they're talking to the listing, getting a listing and talking to people about selling their home, and the role the commission is going to play in the transaction for the buyer. So good stuff there. I don't know if you have any questions. Christina.
Yeah, so I do have a question. And maybe, Christina, you can give us an example in a story form, and maybe give us a scenario where a buyer might encounter this, how this impacts them positively. What is the scenario? How will we put this in our terms? Like, kind of give us some examples of this.
So, and I'll drop this in the chat. I have it saved on my computer. So when we're talking about seller concessions, all of that, basically we're talking about seller credits. So every program and every certain down payment can have a maximum amount of seller credit that can be given to the buyer to use for closing costs, rate buy down. So basically what Fannie Mae Freddie Mac is saying, that maximum, like let's say if it's 6%, like for an FHA loan, 6% of the sales price can go towards the buyer for closing costs. Well, what they're saying is, now this is only for conventional loans right now, that 6% has nothing to do with the buyer's commission. So we were unsure of, okay, well, if it's 6% on FHA, then can we do 3% closing costs for the buyer, 3% for the buyer's agent? And that's what I know we've been talking about a couple times on these calls. Now what they're saying for conventional loans is that cap, it has nothing to do with the buyer's agent commission. So you can do maximum amount for closing costs, and then you could do a separate amount from the seller for the buyer's agent.
All right, now, so let me just so I understand. So if the max amount was 6%, not to exceed the total amount of closing costs on said deal, like just for an example, but the seller is willing to give an additional 3%, they're able to do that. Am I hearing
right? They're saying yes. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac is saying you can do that for conventional loans. VA, FHA have not spoken on it yet. Right, Jeff? I was reading the newsletter that had come out, so I think it's only conventional loans right now. FHA, VA haven't put their input on it, so to speak. I'm sure we'll be hearing of it soon.
Yeah, they usually are lockstep with these kind of things, so I would assume. But the announcement was only from Fannie and Freddie, not from Ginnie, who is the GSE for the government loans.
Okay, so you guys, I'm sure your heads are spinning. Does anybody have any questions on this? I think it's important that we have this conversation. Because I know that there's tons of looming conversations about VA, especially when VA doesn't have to bring a down payment to the table. Like, how are they impacted, and what is the disadvantages to VAs? I think that it dramatically affects them right now, right? And then people that are using down payment assistance programs to purchase a home. So I know all these things are kind of shake out over the next couple months, but While we have our lending partners on the call, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to talk to them, ask them any questions? And feel free, use this space, you guys. I'd rather you have the answers now, or at least have some clarity around these things. That's why we come to coaching. Anybody have any questions, clarity, contributions on the conversation? Let me go around the room. Anybody?
I do.
Go ahead.
I have a VA who's periodically been looking, and because he keeps saying he's not in no rush, like, and it's actually with Christina. So what should be some type of key points or talking points should I be focusing on trying to get him into contracts sooner than later?
Yeah, I would say I don't think personally, I don't think that when it comes July, I have a feeling this is going to get delayed. So I would, it's not going to affect you in a negative way. I guess I can say is easy. I don't think it's not going to affect you in a negative way. VA, you can get, I think it's just like FHA max 6% at the double check. But you can get a big seller credit. So, oh, you're muted, Otis.
Otis, you're muted if you were saying something.
I was listening. I was just listening. I was getting directions.
Okay. But yeah, you're good though. I mean, I would say definitely, you're so good at it, having the conversation of, hey, get into contracts sooner rather than later, because rates go down, and you utilizing a seller credit right now to buy down the interest rate while you still have that room for negotiation versus waiting and then being stuck in the position of, okay, now that $10,000 seller credit I can no longer get because rates went down and everybody and their mother came back into the market.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Chris, you had a question, contribution, thought on the conversation. Let's go to Chris.
Yes, good morning. I think I heard Whistle Mortgage mention that VA are not allowed to pay buyer's commission, like by rule. So have you heard anything about that as far as what the changes will be?
Nothing from VA, direct VA and FHA have not addressed it as of yet.
And then Jeff, taking yourself off of mute. Did you have an additional?
Yeah, I mean, and this is just conversation, so I don't know. And Christina, you could chime in, but if there's a seller, and I don't know the exact VA rules on this, but VA does allow for seller credits. And but I guess what Chris was saying, and we can look into this, is those seller credits couldn't be used to pay the buyer's agent, which sounds off to me. I mean, he might very well be, correct, because I don't know the exact rules, but it's something that we can look into. But I would think you'd be able to use those seller credits. Now, with VA and FHA, they haven't clarified if it's going to be part of the seller credit max. That's the one part we don't know. But I wasn't aware that you couldn't use a seller credit that is allowed on VA to pay for the buyer's, agent commissions, because it is going to just, buyer's agent commission is just going to show up as another line item on the HUD. So I would think you would be able to use seller credits to pay that particular line item, but it's something we'll look into.
Yeah, because I'm looking at a newsletter also, we've been getting all these audit updates, and it says that GSC says that these fees continue to be customarily paid by the property seller. According to, they will not be subject to financing concession limits. So it seems like VA, FHA are going to go along with conventional. It just hasn't been put in writing yet. But I think we're going to be okay on that. But yeah, like Jeff said, we'll double check.
Good stuff.
What's a mortgage guy? I know he's smart.
Anybody else have any contributions or clarifying questions? Like, use this platform to make sure that we have at least a better understanding, so we're even more dangerous with our consumers and we can convey even more information. Anybody else have a thought, contribute? I don't care if you're brand new, I don't care if you're experienced, veteran, who's on the call. Does anybody else have a thought, contribution, or question for either Jeff or Christina? And do we have any other lenders on the call that want to say anything? Going once, going twice. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put everybody in the hot seat, and feel free to raise your hand to answer any of these questions. So what I did is I saw a list of consumer questions that are being asked at a very, very high level right now. And this was aggregated and put into a list. And so I thought that some of these questions were really good for us to just really get in the habit of answering and answering them effectively. First and foremost, there was a question from a seller. Do I still have to offer to pay buyer compensation? Right? That's a question that sellers are going to get or are going to ask you left and right. So I want to hear from you guys. that are working with buyers right now, if a seller, or excuse me, that are working with sellers right now, if a seller asked you that question, how are you going to address it? I need people to get in the hot seat and answer this question because we're practicing here. We're not practicing when we're with our consumers. So let me say it one more time. Do I still have to pay, or do I still have to offer to pay compensation? Who wants to take a stab at that question? And if you don't take a stab at it, I'm just probably going to call on you guys. So be here, be ready. If you're on this call, I take it that you're wanting to push yourself to become better. So do I still have to offer to pay buyer compensation? Your seller just asked you that. How are you going to address that question? All right, I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds, and then I'm going to throw somebody out there in the hot seat. All right, let's go, Blessing.
You know, Elias, with the headlines that have been coming out and all of the conversation around compensation, that's a really great question that you're asking. You as a seller have always had the option to negotiate what the commission is to the buyer, the buyer's agent. That's always been something that we could do. Given the current environment with it being a responsibility of the buyer, possibly, you know, as your agent, I would just advise you that if we're not offering any commission to the buyer's agent, it may make it a little bit more difficult to get the marketing, to get the reach, to get the collaboration on the other side, the visibility for your property. And in order for you to get like for me to do my job, I would highly recommend that you offer a commission on the other side so that we can put your house in the best situation to win. Does that kind of clarify things a little bit for you?
Yeah, it does. It does. So stay with me. I want to answer this next one. Can I still offer a broker buyer commission, and how will they know I am offering it, right? If the field for commission is leaving the MLS right now, we've told our consumers that, and they want to still offer that. How is the buyer going to know that my property is offering a commission?
That's a fantastic question. I'm actually more excited about the fact that it's not being advertised, because what we're going to know right away is that buyer's agent needs to call me to understand what's being offered. So if we have an agent that truly knows what they're doing on the other side and they're reaching out to get the most information, we know that we're truly working with a professional at that point, which will give me the confidence about moving forward with that transaction. So it's really just going to encourage buyer's agents to reach out, to have the conversation with the listing agent, to come up with a strategy. But you just don't have to worry about it being the only factor. And we kind of get away from that red area. I kind of lost my train of thought. So let me stop talking.
No, it's good. Like, and listen, that's why I'm calling this the hot seat. So let's go to Brandy really quick. Brandy, based on what Blessing just shared, was there any key takeaways, thoughts from what she just shared, or how she shared the information that she just conveyed? Brandy, there you go.
Sorry, my computer died. I like that she turned it. That was such a learning thing for me, just watching this. I like how she, for one, gave the seller still the option. And then for two, turned it around and made it, well, that's for me and the buyer agent to kind of work out. You don't worry about it, but here's like the foundation. Yeah, that's what I took away from that.
Good stuff. Here's what I want everyone to do on this call, and everybody that will see this call in the future. I want you to depersonalize the conversation about commission. It's not about, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I will do, here's my services, here's my benefits. Everything that we're talking about is serving them at a very high level, whether they're a seller or whether they're a buyer. So if you can remove this I and the list of services that I do and I provide, it's how do these things impact you as a seller or buyer, and how do they help you? And this is why making the best decision for your asset is to work with somebody like me. It's always going to be about them and how this protects them. So really good stuff, Blessing. Let's go. I'm going to ask a finance question to Christina and to Jeff, or to anybody else that maybe want to jump in on this one. Buyers are asking at a very high level, can I finance the commissions that are owed? Can I finance the commissions that are owed? So, Christina, I'm going to turn it over to you. Then, Jeff, I want you to answer that. I will be right back in 1 second. Let's go, Christina.
Yeah, so you cannot. So that as of now, because it's similar to someone asking, can I roll my closing costs into my loan amount on a home purchase, which you cannot. So, and you can do it on a refinance. So you may hear people say, hey, like I've heard you can do it for a refinance, you cannot do it for a purchase. So that is the difference on that. Now, who knows if they'll say anything different later, but I don't think that'll ever change.
Just one point to that, and what you can do when you're purchasing a home or a refinance, but you can't necessarily roll your closing costs into the loan amount, but you can take a higher rate, which provides a lender credit, and that lender credit could offset the buyer's the buyer's agent's commission. So just hypothetically, you know, say you have a 7% interest rate at what we call par, which means 0 points. You're not paying anything extra to get that rate, and you're not being, you know, you're not getting any lender credit back for that particular rate. If you go up from 7 to 7.5, if you have the ability to do that and still get approved for the loan based on the higher rate, then the lender's going to offer, you know, potentially offer a lender credit. So they will, you know, you take that higher rate, the lender will offer 1,000, 2,000, you know, whatever the calculations are. It's a percentage based on the loan amount. So it's not a set amount, but you could use that to pay for closing costs, but also, you know, the buyer agent commission. So there are ways of doing it, but to Christina's point, you can't roll at this point. There's been no guidance on this that you can roll it into the loan amount, but the lending industry is very innovative. So I'm sure that depending on whatever the final NAR settlement is and the agreement is, as soon as we have some concrete, you know, as soon as we have some concrete information around this, there will immediately be lenders that are, you know, trying to craft ways to make sure that they're minimizing the impact on buyers.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I've talked to a lender before that had a shortfall on an appraisal, and maybe, you know, Dominique can chime in on this. And then they were able to roll that shortfall into the loan. Is that can that be done? And what's the difference with doing that versus rolling the commission into the loan? Does it mean that the buyer is a higher risk buyer and that the banks aren't willing to take on this higher risk buyer now because their debt to income ratio has gone higher? Like, I just,
it sounds like what they might have done, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like what they might have done was reduce their down payment to come out of pocket for the difference, because a lender, you could only lend for the amount of the appraised value. So I'm thinking, Jeff, what do you think? What they probably did on that?
Well, on a purchase, the lender's always going to lend on the lesser of the appraised value or the purchase price. Okay, so you know, you're buying a home for 700,000. If the appraisal comes in at 690, we're going to base everything, down payment and everything, off of 690. If the appraisal comes in at 710, we're still going to base it off the 700. We're not going to use the higher appraised value. So it's always the lesser of purchase price or appraised value. And what's going to happen when the value, you know, comes in, say $10,000 less, the impact to the buyer is muted depending on how much you're putting down. The buyer can elect to put less of a percentage down, and you know, so say they were putting down 10%. So in this particular case, they were going to be putting down $70,000 on this. Okay, but now it's 690. So now they're putting down $69,000 is all that they're, you know, so that $10,000 gap in the appraisal is only costing them basically $1,000. They got to come up with another 1,000 because they're only putting down the 10%. If that makes sense. I know it's a lot of different numbers.
no. So okay. So and this was a while back. So it wasn't that it was rolled into the loan. It's that they were literally kind of balancing it out. We'll take less from you on a down payment. So that way it balances. Okay. So I understand that. So here's a question for anybody on the call that wants to take this one, because I'm sure that this conversation is going to come up. So what if I don't have enough money to pay you, the buyer's agent, and closing costs? Right? I'm purchasing a $700,000 home in the Bay Area. what if I don't have enough money to pay you in closing costs? Do you think that that's going to be a question that a buyer asks? I promise you that's going to be a question that a buyer asks. So who wants to take a stab at that hot seat? I saw Otis. Otis, hopefully you're not driving any longer. Let's go Roxy after Otis. So Otis, let's go first, then we'll go Roxy after. Let's go, O.
I'm glad you asked that question, Elias. Of course we can. There's ways to be really creative. We can go back to the seller, and since we're already in contract, there's always ways to still negotiate. Because obviously the other side doesn't want this to fail through. In this case, let's just say we're already 20 days in and we're trying to finalize everything. I just had a deal, literally my last deal go like this, where we can be a little strategic. I mean, if this is the all say all and this is the deal, and if it's a no go on this, let's sign this cancellation to give us a little kind of momentum going into this, and seeing if we can go back to the seller to say, hey, Mr. Seller, I know we promised a smooth transaction, but as you know, things come up. Rates have been rising every single week until we got up until this point. So we thought we were going to be able to swing it, but we just haven't been able to do so. So we're looking at maybe $10,000 left in closing costs and just getting everything wrapped up. I know it's a super big ask, but if you guys can do that, meanwhile, if it comes down to it, I may even be able to talk to my lender to see if the both of us can scale back a little bit with the help of your seller. Those are the conversations that we can have. And those are things that we do have. I just submitted an offer last night where somebody was super non trying to push the button, but I told them, hey, let's not try to undercut them now. Let's go a little bit under asking price, 780. Let's do 770 because they still haven't had any inspections. So they opened up the door in this case to be able to pull back. In this case, we're just going to kind of ask. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it doesn't hurt to go ask the seller to try to see what's what. I've already looked to see where they were kind of at with equity, and I do think they can do it. It'll just be a matter of if they want to do it. So let's try to not call it quits now. Let's try to put our gloves up in front of our face and take these blows, but come back out swinging for the fences and see if we can still make this thing happen. Does that sound like something you'd be willing to do, Elias, if we get into some dire straits like that? But I can promise you.
Yeah. I'm willing to do that. I think that's a good scenario, man. So well said. Well said. And I'll come to Roxanne in just a moment, but let's go to Christina Montiel. Christina Montiel, what was something that you heard from Otis's response to that you said, you know what, I could probably put that into my flow, or I like that. Let me hear your contribution. We'll go right over to Roxy.
I like the way that he made it as, listen, I'm here for you, and we're gonna just go to battle, and I'm gonna ask. They can say no, but I will go and ask for you. I wish I could know how to make it that very smooth.
Well, here's the thing, Christina. We all have the ability, and here's the thing: it's new to us. So the only way that this is going to happen is by practicing and practicing and practicing, just like our buyer's console, just like our listing presentation, just like anything that we do in this game. This is new, and now you have an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to own this, and come July, I'm ready. Right. I'm ready to ask for 3% from all my buyers. I'm ready to have that conversation with my sellers of why they put their position or put their home in the best position by offering a compensation to the other end. So all this is going to take is for you practicing and practicing and practicing. So coming here, going with a homie, sitting down and practicing your dialogue. That's how we're all going to get better. So great contribution, Christina. Great contribution, Otis. Let's go to Roxanne. Roxanne Adams, nice to see you. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. I need to take it a step back to the role play with Blessing. Blessing, you did a fabulous job. And that's exactly what everybody is going to want to say at the table. But I just want to chime in and let everybody know I took the ABR class, and I suggest everybody to take it because Jeannie, who was the instructor, shared with us, we're all going to want to say that. We cannot say that. So this is what we have to say, you guys. Mr. Seller, I understand that you've heard these things in the news. And I want to let you know that commission has always been negotiable. It's never been mandatory. And today, again, it's not mandatory. And I cannot suggest to you what to offer the buyer's agent. Mr. Seller, you have to tell me what would you like to offer the buyer's agent, if anything. But what I'd like to share with you today is I have made some phone calls, and I've called some of the sales that have been in your neighborhood, and I asked those agents, what did they offer, if anything, to a buyer's agent? And this is what I have come up with. Your neighbor on 123 Main Street informed me that his client offered the buyer's agent 2.5%. And then you just go ahead and you actually have to do the work, you guys. So before you get to the listing presentation, now this is going to come obviously when the commission's erased from the MLS. We're going to have to start making phone calls. We're going to have to call all of the comps that we're going to share with our client and ask those agents, did they offer a compensation? And that is the only information that we are allowed to share with our seller. We can never use the word suggest. We can never use the word customary. These are the things that got us into the trouble that we're in. So we have to be very tactful and careful with our verbiage so that we are not putting the seller in any position where they feel like they're pressured to offer a commission because we're saying, hey, if you don't, agents might not show your house. Because that's why we're in trouble right now, right? I mean, it's part of it. There's a lot of things to go with it, but part of it is sellers feeling like, oh, if I didn't pay, no one was going to show my house. These agents are greedy out there. Like we're just, we're thrown under the bus every left which way. So we just have to be very tactful that we never suggest commission. We don't say something as customary, and that our verbiage is specific to Mr. Seller. It is fully up to you if you'd like to offer a compensation. And this is what the information I've come up with.
God, Roxanne, I absolutely love this, and I appreciate you going further into this. I got a report, you guys, on March 20th, and it was a list of all the sales in Alameda County up to that point, which was 1,069 sales at that time. 934 of those sales had a 2.5% co-op commission, and 51 of those sales had a 2%. 2.25 was 32, and 3% was at 34. What she's done is she's taken those numbers and said specifically in this neighborhood, here's the co-op payout that has happened on 123, 127, and 128 Main Street. Here's all the information. Based on that information, what would you like to do? Right? This is a report that came from a lender. I don't know if you guys have that report or the money store, but she literally broke it down to where I can see all that. So when you're at the table, you can say, here's what it is, but more specifically, let's look at all the houses that sold in this area. I love that approach. Absolutely love that approach. It's a wonderful contribution.
And that was from Jeannie at ABR, and everybody take ABR, get your little designation, be able to put it on your business card and stuff, but also the information she delivered was fire.
All right, so Roxanne, for the people that don't know what the acronym is, please share what that is.
Accredited buyer representative.
And where did you attend? At Bay East?
Yes, it was actually the Women's Council, and it was there, at Bay East.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Great stuff, Roxanne. Let's go over to Daniela. Daniela, you've got your hand up. Was it a contribution, thought, or answering that question?
No, it was actually a question. So in one of the fast forward calls, it was like a master class. It wasn't too long ago. John G.
Rush.
Yes,
Rush.
him.
Yep.
So he gave like a demonstration of his buyer console. I guess he has a lot of already buyers, is doing it for years. They signed the agreement and stuff. But one of the things that he said stuck with me in regards to the question that you just asked, where if the buyer cannot pay for their own commission, right? And they tell us that, like, I'm worried. What he said on the call was that he's telling them straight up, then I'm gonna find out if the seller is going to pay for, a buyer's commission. And if that seller is not paying, then I just won't show you the house. Like, the way that he said it was so like smooth, and I was like, wait, but can we say that? Like, can we just tell buyers, like, before you fall in love with the house, if the seller is not offering compensation, then, like, let's not bother seeing it? Because that kind of makes me think of, like, what Roxanne said, like, that's kind of what got us in trouble in the first place. But the way that he said it, and he's been saying it for years, I mean, I'll go back on the call and, like, get it word for word, but that's basically what he said. Like, can we say that to buyers? Like, I don't know. That's like a genuine question.
So they talk about that in the ABR class. So what you would tell your buyer is, hey, Mr. Buyer, this home that you love, they're not offering a compensation. And then let the buyer make the decision. So we're not going to say, hey, I'm not going to show it to you, right? But Mr. Buyer, would you still like to see this home? And the buyer's ultimately going to say, yes, probably they still want to see it, right? And then also, like, there's going to be a negotiation, even though the seller may not offer a compensation up front. By the time they get the offer, maybe all the offers come in and everyone is asking for the seller to pay their buyer broker agreement, they're going to end up paying it anyways at some point. Well, and let me not say that because this is being recorded, but you know what I'm saying, you guys, like, just, you're going to probably still show the house and you're still going to try and negotiate that commission. But ultimately, you're never going to say, let's not see this house. You may let the buyer make the decision.
Yeah, but I also think too that there's going to be some points where, say you get a lead and you're talking to them, you set for a buyer's consultation, they say, no way, no how am I going to offer a compensation at any point, right? The buyer's going to say that. And so they're willing to go about it on their own and represent themselves. I do believe, and this is my opinion, that we're going to say no to some buyers. We're going to say no to buyers. That's going to happen. But I heard something the other day that I thought was really, really profound. And it said this, and I'll just read it. Actually, I'm compiling this list. It's not done yet, but let me just share this with you guys so you guys can see it. So I'm compiling a list of commission conversations. And one of the things that was really a great statement that I heard is that, Daniela, you may not have to write me a check because I'm going to do everything within my skill set to get the seller to pay compensation or offer concessions. However, if we find a home that the seller does not offer any type of concession or compensation, then you have to make a very, very hard decision. And that hard decision is, are you going to pay significantly more for this home, have no room for negotiations because that's not your specialty, and also not know about any of the material facts that you need to know as a buyer, and put yourself in a situation that's going to be more harmful than it is going to be positive for you? Or are you going to choose to have representation and pay for that representation because it's going to mitigate all of those fears and all of that those risks? That's a decision as a buyer that you're going to have to make. However, by saying that, if you've already articulated all the things that we do for them to help them throughout the process, to look at the material facts, to analyze the reports, to analyze the seller disclosures, to make sure that they know that when it comes to negotiation time, if there's a shortfall, I'm that person that's going to help to serve you. Then they're at a crossroads. That decision is on you, Mr. Buyer. Whether or not you want to move forward, that means that you could significantly pay a lot more and have higher risk, or you can choose to pay for representation at that point. Now, I'd love to be able to help you, but that's ultimately your choice. And I believe if it's articulated so well in your buyer's consultation, they'll be like, oh my God, Daniela, if I don't have you, then we're going to pay a lot of money and also put our deposit at risk. Nah, we need you. We need you. So I really love this conversation. Thanks for your contributions, you guys. Did I see another hand there? I don't want to make sure I didn't miss it. But Danielle, go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. Just real quick. I came across this list. It's called 100 things that we do as your buyer's agent. I saw it in some other like real estate Facebook group. I'm gonna put it in the chat if you guys want to check it out. I've taken some of those like things and put them into my buyer's consultation now. And those are things that, you know, we do that the buyer is paying us for, obviously, but I don't know, it's really cool because it's thing that they can't do for themselves. So I'll just put the list down in the chat if you guys want to check it out. It's
Can you please advise everybody, though, not to copy and paste that and put that on Facebook? I couldn't fucking stand seeing that because it's not unique. I love what's on that list, but like make that your own. Make that your own. So Danielle, yeah, please share that with everybody. You guys, let's start coming full circle in this conversation. I think there was a lot of great takeaways from today. You guys should be filled up with notes. Going back to some of these questions, do I have to offer a buyer compensation? Can I still offer broker buyer commission? And how will they know if I am offering that? Why should I, as a seller, pay for buyer commission? Let them worry about that. You're going to have that come up left and right. Can I refund or can I finance the commissions that are owed? What if I don't have enough money to pay you and closing costs? Right? These are all things that I just want everyone to get prepared with. Really quick, Damian, you had a thought or contribution while you're doing your pull downs. Let's go to you really quick, and then we'll start wrapping session.
Cool, mid-set. No, I just wanted to echo how valuable what Roxanne just said was, because I definitely didn't know what we're not allowed to say to sellers in regards to the compensation. So that was super beneficial.
Yeah,
Thank you, Roxanne.
yeah, I absolutely love that. Sellers as well as buyers need to know that they were advised by us to make the best decisions for themselves, right? Like we're not here to steer, we're not here to pressure, we're here to provide all the material facts and allow them to come to the best conclusion based on their needs. That's our responsibility, right? It's our responsibility. And I think it's going to make us, I know it's going to make us more professional. It's going to make us viewed in a very higher light because consumers rate realtors in general very low, especially buyer's agents. Listing agents probably are higher than a buyer's agent. Buyer's agent is ranked so low on consumer ratings in the United States of America because so many of us have open doors, wrote an offer, got accepted, and then they don't understand how we got paid 30 G's. And they seem to them that it was easy. Well, we know it's not easy, but what we haven't done a great job of is really illustrating, documenting, and showcasing exactly what we do for a buyer from start to finish. When they really pull back the curtain, they're like, oh my God, Roxanne, you do all that? You used to have you sign these disclosures, you reviewed them, you stayed up late at night, you did a summary, all these things. Wait, you negotiate all these things. They don't see that. All they see is that, man, these people make a lot of money. So I think it's going to change. And I know it's going to change for the good. So let's do this. Let's get a couple of key takeaways from people on the call today. Ophelia Vargas, key takeaways from our time together today. Let's hear from you. Good to see you. Thanks for being on. Let's go to you, and then we'll go to Champ. Ophelia's trying to get that mute button off. You're talking, but we have no audio for you. Maybe something else. There it is.
Right. No, it was a double, like the phone in the car. So anyways, really good stuff. I would have lead the same way that Blessing started. I think I would have been very blunt to like, no, you don't have to be fully transparent. But with Roxanne's clarification on there, it's like we really need to be more fine-tuned in how we deliver that. And it's just again, it's true. We're going to be viewed a little more professional. We'll be a little more polished. Communication skills is going to have to be, superb when you talk to many buyers. In the past, I've heard this comment before from a seller. He's like, if I'm paying you to sell my house, then what are you doing if I'm paying that agent who brought me the buyer? And I said, damn, that was many years ago. And my rebuttal, well, my answer was like, well, sir, do you know what transfer of risk means? And it's like, we're almost in insurance. You're transferring all of that risk that you would be doing on your own to me as a seller's agent. So now I'm going to go over these 19, 20 pages of a purchase agreement that you didn't go to school. I didn't say it like that, but you didn't go to school, but you're not aware of. And that's what you're paying me for. Now I am splitting my commission. But anyways, so it was something that was just hit me hard at that moment. It stumped me because it's like, if you're not prepared for that, you would be like, well, yeah, I am putting a for sale sign and I am putting a lockbox, but the other guy's doing it because that's how they see it. So this is really conversation. And again, just continue to polish and have that, how to articulate, how to communicate your value.
Yeah, you guys, listen, this is separation season. The people that are going to be able to fluidly have these conversations with buyers and sellers are going to be the ones that win in the new market. The people that are fumbling, that don't have the answers, be like, oh my God, it's the sellers. No, it's our responsibility to provide clarity, right? It's our responsibility. So this is grind time, right? Do everything that you're supposed to be doing to move the needle in your business, but there should be countless hours spent behind the scenes like, how would I actually convey that? How would I address that question? How would I answer that, that fear? And be ready, you guys, be ready. So if I can do anything for you guys to help you, additionally help you, ask more questions, do more workshops, you guys lean to me. I don't have all the answers, but I promise you, I'll do my best to serve everybody that is in my circle and not in my circle. That is my duty as a coach. That's my duty as a leader. So you guys, we're going to pause there. I want to say thank you for all your contributions. Thank you to the Money Store for always showing up. I can't recall a time that the Money Store was not on a group coaching, not only just on Wednesdays. They're here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you guys' contributions are beyond insightful. And to all of the agents that stepped up, grabbed the mic, I know this. this environment is fearful because you're on a bigger stage and public speaking is very, very scary. So thanks for just getting on the mic and speaking your truth. Even if you feel it's not perfect, it's okay. That's why we're here. This is why it's coaching. This isn't like, oh, this is showtime. This is coaching you guys. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. As always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and go out there and make this a day that counts. Peace.